Good evening, everybody. How are you? It's Wednesday. Didn't do my usual late night Sunday stream, and I'm not going to be around this weekend for the Sunday chat with Mother's Day and all. It's a very, very busy weekend, so I won't be around. So I thought I'd talk about some stuff now. I've read a few things since the weekend that I wanted to talk about. I had my huge pull list that I went to that consisted of two books, this one and one that I'll show you in a second here. So I have, hello, Colin, how are you? I have the first part. I haven't read it yet. I have the second now. I flipped through both of these. I really love the look of Rugg's work in this stuff. I like the way he messes with kind of styles and page layouts and advertisements and stuff. So I may actually end up reading both of these, but we'll see if that comes true. I do have every intention of giving this one a try, though. So talked about, hello, Scott Connor, how are you? So I've talked about Scoyton before, Scoyton and Peters. I love their stuff. For me, it wasn't this issue, but it all started in Chevelle Noir, the earlier issues where they reprinted Fever and Urbicon, and I absolutely fell in love with their stuff there. These are the two from IDW that I have currently, and today was the day that Tower came out, the next book in the Obscure Cities series of books. Fever and Urbicon comes out in the same format in September. I contacted my comic guy already who got this one in for me. It feels like I've been waiting for like years for this to finally come. IDW's site doesn't talk about any of these books, or at least not that I could find easily anyway. So I contacted him today to say, hey, when Fever and Urbicon comes out, I'd love a copy. He doesn't have a code yet to order it. So I guess September 2022 is in heavy duty quotes. I just finished reading this one. And I mean, what can I say besides it getting a black light in the way there? It's gorgeous as always. I'm just so in love with his art. It's just, I don't know, man. It's stunning, stunning stuff. So when I read this, I always get the impression that I'm watching like a Peter Greenaway movie. If anybody knows Peter Greenaway, that's kind of the sort of scope and the history and the artistry, I guess, that I feel like I'm dealing with. I was just reading the back matter because as I was reading, I'm like, man, this guy really looks like Orson Welles. It is Orson Welles. They actually contacted him, and he posed for a bunch of the photos and was apparently fascinated with the concept of comics. And apparently a great guy. They really, they seem to really get along with him. So the basic premise of this is that every kind of section of the tower has someone that's there to kind of take care of that particular section. And I'm blanking on what they call themselves right now, of course, because the video is on. So they're supposed to be inspectors that come to check in on them, and he's got notes for them because his section of the tower is disintegrating rapidly, and he can't keep up. He's not getting any sleep. He hasn't seen anybody else. He's been isolated for a long, long time. So he finally says, fuck it, and goes to abandon his post. And then we kind of get a glimpse into different parts of the tower as he explores. He comes across some other people like him that he had talked to previously, but hasn't seen in years. So, I mean, right away, the premise is fantastic. This idea of this structure or this city, I guess, that you're only catching a small sliver on. So you're with the character as they're exploring because you don't know what to expect either. And it just really unfolds into a really enjoyable read. I wouldn't say that this was my favorite out of the stuff I've read so far, but I really did dig it. And I think, again, like just pouring over this art panel by panel, truly, truly stunning stuff. So I'm so glad this came out. I'm so glad that they're doing this. I love that they're doing this in the oversize, regardless of the size of bookshelves. They're still doing this gigantic size, or at least by our standards, gigantic size anyway. And I mean, you absolutely need it. As much as I loved seeing their stuff reprinted in Chevelle Noir, it just doesn't do it justice. Yeah, it really did take a long time, Colin. It took just forever. And I mean, it feels like this whole series, I'm not sure what's going on with IDW. Like I said, when I was looking on their website for information about the next release, pardon me, I couldn't even find this release listed on their website. I like big books, and I cannot lie, it's true. So he finally kind of meets up with another sort of, I guess, town, I suppose, filled with people. He has an accident and he's rescued, and that's kind of, you know, a third of the way through the book, and then the rest unfolds with he starts to get glimpses of the history of the tower. He gets to see some paintings that have been done of the tower, and kind of the other premise is that it really flows through a couple of periods of art history, which some of that absolutely went over my head. But a beautiful story nonetheless. So very, if you don't know, I mean, I imagine the 7 of you that'll watch this video, you'll know Scoyton and Peters. But if for some reason there's someone watching that doesn't know these creators, absolutely give this a shot. Like I said, this just came out today. What does it have? A $20 price tag US, 26 bucks Canadian. So considering what you get, that's a pretty damn good deal. It is the soft cover there, so that gives me 3 in this format, which is great. And then I've got some hardcover stuff too. So I love that this is being made available to us over here. Really cool. Jumping on to, this is going to be smattered with some stuff that I picked up, and then right at the end we're going to go and I'll show you kind of some of the stuff I've picked up recently. So from one of the cheap bin dives, I found a few issues of Chevelle Noir. This is from the later issues, so 32, 34, and 35. I think I have kind of up to 20 or something like that, 1 to 20, somewhere in around there, early 20s. And I remember when I was buying those ones, it started to taper off. It's been such a long time. I think that there's only 40 issues total, something like that. So hello, G, how's it going? Hello, John, how you doing? So I figured, since I saw these, I figured I'd start grabbing them and try to finish off this run. I read issue number 32, and I was quickly reminded why maybe I jumped off of it. This one was just really frustrating. The stories, there was nothing wrong with some of the stories anyway. So we get some David Lynch, The Angriest Dog in the World, a couple of strips there. A story, Sabotage, by Daniel Torres, which I really enjoyed. I like the kind of frenetic nature of this one. And it seemed to be these little kind of moments strung together. There was a real quick rhythm with this. But I mean, you can already see here on some of these panels, the line is pretty blown out. And this is probably the best one when this shit happens. They can't even get it on the fucking page properly without kind of trimming the top. And it just kind of, out of the stories that are reprinted here, this is probably the best one. Because as you kind of go further, it just gets worse. In Search of Peter Pan by Koze. Earl Grey has talked about this artist in the past, and it wasn't a name that I was familiar with. And again, you can see the gigantic white space at the bottom there. And I think it happens again in this story. Yeah, here we go. where it's just all of a sudden completely butted up against the top, so you get an even bigger. This is just, it's so goddamn frustrating. It really, and then the final story is just so blown out. It looks like just an inky mess. So, you know, and then the last page printed on the inside cover. Again, it's one of those things. Do I love getting to see some of this stuff? There's some Mobius stuff in these later issues as well too. Absolutely, I do. But that kind of thing just kind of, especially at this point, it kind of just ends up pissing me off. So it was not a fun read by any stretch, because I just kept noticing all that stuff. And I think, again, it's just a theme of myself and other channels. It's just so frustrating living in North America and wanting to experience some of these European and just comics from somewhere else that isn't the fucking United States or Canada, right? And then kind of have to we just got to eat whatever we can get our hands on, right? So, yeah. What are you going to do? So I see what you're saying there, Colin, about you had to go online to get the rest of them. And that's the thing with stuff like this. It just is, I don't even know now if I really want to, how hard I want to dig for the rest of them. Yeah, exactly. And I know that I'm not saying anything that all of us haven't said at some point or another. Let's jump into something that watching Earl Grey's channel. This was something recently that he had that jumped out at me, and I saw it in the bookstore yesterday, so grabbed it. Apparently there's 2 volumes of Orochi by Kazuo, I believe it's Umezu. They have, or Umezu. I think that they've spelt this wrong in here, because when I was looking him up online, it was spelled Umezu everywhere. So I'm not sure what the real spelling is, or pronunciation for that matter. So Orochi, this volume has 2 stories in it that I guess were previously published in 1969 and 1970. And boy, oh boy, was this ever good. I really dug this. Just the brief look on Earl Grey's channel there and seeing that art, I was instantly drawn in. But this is an amazing couple of horror stories here, with these kind of washes. A beautiful book also, should be noted. Viz Media doing this one, and doing a really stellar bang up job with the hardcover. But I mean, look at these pages here. So our kind of this first one is called, was it Sisters First? Yeah, Sisters First. And this our Orochi main character, sort of like our horror host that brings us through these stories, and she's got powers. She can erase people's memory. She can make them believe anything that she wants. So in this case, she's kind of putting her hand on this woman's head to kind of get her to accept her and invite her in her house. And then through these situations, she kind of uncovers the stories and becomes a part of them, and kind of is our eyes as she kind of moves through the story herself. So this first one is about 2 sisters who live together, and there's something going on in the house. There's something or someone in one of the rooms, and I don't want to spoil anything else other than that, because it unfolds great. But a lot of really good moody art here, really, really beautiful. And again, the page quality, everything about this. Here, let me just do this and find the second story so I don't accidentally flash something. And this next one is called, the second story here is called Bones. That's a good question there, Colin. I feel like it was run in one of like the like a Shonen Jump or something. I'm not really sure. It was run in a magazine, is what I found out online. If you just type in Orochi and start typing the name, just remember, instead of 2 Z's, just put a U at the end there. and it'll kind of give you the history. So you there, why do you hate bones? Bones are beautiful. It's the flesh that shrouds them that is so despicable. And this was another killer story about a couple in love, supposedly, and kind of what happens there. Kind of gives a little bit of a backstory about this girl and how she was raised in this abusive household. Her mother and father constantly abusing her, and her having to take care of her grandfather, who was sick and dying, and even he was treating her like shit. And it kind of so we just get a little bit of that backstory, and then we jump ahead in time to now she's an adult, and she's going to be married. And what happens from there? She gets kind of whisked away from this handsome guy who gets hit by a car and ends up in a coma. And Orochi Orochi, our host, is the one of the nurses, and that's when she starts coming into the story. And again, I don't want to go any further than that. I do feel like these do need to unfold. Like, you really just need to read them and see them unfold for yourself, because that's a lot of the fun that happens here. So a couple of twists and turns here and there, kind of like the classic DC and Marvel horror stories and stuff. But I thoroughly enjoyed this. I read this really quick. It flowed like most manga does for me. It flowed really nicely. So yeah, I'm going to be getting the second volume for sure. Thank you very much, Earl Grey, for bringing this to my attention there on your channel. Yeah, and again, Viz Media, what do we got here on price? A little more expensive, $26.99 US, $35.99 Canadian, 22 pounds UK, or I guess that's the pounds symbol there. So anyway, there you go. Another one that I started reading. I have the first 5 issues of Matt Kindt and David Rubin's Ether. I read the first 5 issues in this omnibus kind of collection. So it collects everything, which is what, 13, 14, 15 issues, something like that. And then has some extras in the back, some process stuff. I remember when I was reading this originally, when it came out, I really loved the first couple of issues. I can say that if it wasn't for the art, I don't know if this would be hitting me at all, because the first couple of issues, I don't know, this read through, they didn't do too much for me. It wasn't horrible, obviously, because I kept reading, and it started getting a little better. It just seemed the writing was just not, it was just a little sloppy. It seemed to kind of, I don't know, there was just something about it that it sort of hit these notes just to keep the story moving quickly to get through to where we want it to be. But it's getting a little better as it goes. And like I said, for me, the draw on this one is this art by David Rubin, not Rick Rubin, David Rubin. So there you go. Yeah, he's really good, G. That's for sure. I totally agree. This was one of the better stories, actually. Our main character's wife, looking back at her childhood and things that she discovers in her grandma's home, who's a voracious reader and has all these rooms, again, that are off limits. Really great. Hello. Yes, it is there, AFPC. How you doing, man? It is Matt Kindt and David Rubin on Ether. So started on that. Kind of read those first 5 issues and bailed on it. And then finally for the books, another one that jumped off the shelf, Dementia 21 by Kago, I believe. So from Fantagraphics. I started reading this morning. My wife is back doing some work, so I'm putting my daughter on the bus, and once she's on the bus, I just end up going into the office because what's the point of sitting in the house staring at the wall? So I'm there a good kind of half hour, 40 minutes before work. So this morning I brought this and sat in my office and read a chunk of it. This was a bizarre, fun book so far. Again, we sort of have our almost host, our main character who works at a care home, or a company where they go out and give care to senior citizens. So each story becomes its own, and basically our kind of main character is the best caregiver in this organization, and she's always getting awards, and what her nemesis is sleeping with the boss, and they kind of fuck around to make her rating go down. So in this kind of desperate attempt, they keep sending her to these on these jobs where they think that she's going to be killed, like they think is going to happen in this one. Previous people who have come to take care of this old lady have all died from accidents, falling downstairs, etc. So each little story becomes its own thing. And again, I'm going to try to flip past stuff so we don't do any spoilers. This one where she has to take care of a few different people. Her whole thing is to get her rating up. So every time there's always that kind of note. So it's a pretty interesting structure to tell these stories. And there's some really bizarre art here. Let's see. Oh, this was a fantastic one, actually. An older woman who had powers ever since she was a kid. She's now old, and she's suffering from Alzheimer's. And unfortunately, one of the things that happens to people if she doesn't remember you at all is that you end up exploding. If she doesn't remember who you are, you're done for. So her family desperately, they come to see her all the time to desperately ensure that she remembers them. And the ones that don't, like the dog, she forgot the dog explodes. And then it kind of translates to how immense is her power. And it turns out that even if she's watching TV and there's a news anchor that she doesn't know who it is, they explode as well too. So kind of a funny one. There's an oddness to this art. It almost looks like sometimes it's just light boxed photos. Yeah, you have Hey AFPC. Yeah, I hear that. Enjoyed the Pistol Whip books and Mind Management. Yeah, Mind Management, I kind of bailed on eventually. I was following it. And Pistol Whip, I don't know that one. I'll have to have a look for it. So that was a great one. But I think the one so far that's really blown me away is, yeah, this one here. This old guy and his teeth. So she goes into this house to care for this guy, 78 years old, Kazuo Hasegawa, and the daughters come, and he's talking to her. Before they come, he's talking about his daughters are trying to kill him, basically, like they're starving him, and they come in and they're particularly nasty. But we get a little bit of a backstory from them, that he was always horrible to them. He would hit us and kick us at the drop of a hat. So he's very abusive. So instantly your thoughts change about this old guy. So one of the things that he can't do is he can't eat. So she goes online and finds this company that have these kind of robotic teeth that you can fit in your mouth, and can put them in the washing machine is one of the things they say. Automatic washing keeps them clean at all times. Oh, sorry. So they wash themselves, I guess. They can automatically sense the solidity of the food and adjust chewing strength accordingly. So, of course, they work really well in his voracious appetite. And we start to see his appearance change a little bit. There's a recall on the teeth is what we find out. And he starts kind of saying to each of his daughters, let's go have a heart-to-heart. And when they come back, all of a sudden they're best friends and they're hanging out together. And his face, he gets a little more grimacing every single time. Turns out these teeth are kind of taking him over and then inserting themselves into other people's mouths. Let's see if they have a shot. There's a good shot there. There you go. So you can see the teeth kind of reproducing themselves and being pumped into somebody else's head to kind of turn them evil as well. It is just such insanely twisted story. Really, really entertaining, though. Equally kind of horrific and comedic at the same time. So I think that's about as far as I've read. Oh no, I read this one about the giant superhero too. So yeah, still a lot to go. So really short little stories here, but a pretty unique kind of structure for a bunch of sort of horror stories so far. Anyway, so that's Dementia 21 from Fantagraphics. Assassinated by John Wilkes-Tooth. Nice, Scott. Nice. What else do I have for you here? Talked about those ones. A couple of something else I picked up today in a hunt, going down to one of the shops near my house here. Just looking through, he's got an incredible selection of, 80s, 80s and 90s independent comics. So I have a list that I always build up on my phone, and it's mostly filled with kind of oddball comics that I'm looking for from that era. And I was going to see if he had any Puma Blues and a couple of other titles. And I was flipping through some boxes, and this one jumped out at me for, I don't know, I think it was $2. Pretty Girl Sketchbook. 20 pretty girl pit-ups from the likes of Perez, Miller, Chaikin, Rogers, McLeod, Byrne, Kane, Pat Broderick, John Beatty, Bill Black, Jerry Ordway, and Joe Staten. It's on a kind of, it's like a fanzine quality paper here, which is very bizarre. So I don't know anything about this one other than it's from something called Paisley Publications in 1981 there. So 20 pretty girl pinups, and you get exactly what is advertised on the front. So I couldn't leave it behind. It was just too strange to leave. So yeah, I mean, not much else to say about this. You're just getting some pinups throughout the whole thing. Some Alex Toth there. Really nice Toth. And I love the, let's get to the centerfold here. Yeah, there you go. So John Byrne centerfold. Yeah. So there you go. Anyway, that's the Pretty Girl Sketchbook that I grabbed today. I did give Binky Brown Meets the Holy Virgin Mary a reread this week as well, because of talking about Justin Green and his passing, and talking about him a couple of times here. This was probably just as good, if not even better, than the first time I read it. Such a great bit of storytelling here. A real nice mix of again, this kind of comedic moments with what you think is maybe real life, and some things that are maybe just kind of enhanced a little bit, let's say. So really great. If you don't know Justin Green, hunt yourself down a copy of this one. You won't be disappointed in that one for sure. From the Air Cell Train, Scum of the Earth, based on the classic film by Herschel Gordon Lewis, and this is part 1 of 3, or issue number 1 of 3. I love the idea. I've got Air Cell. They did Doris Wishman is one of my favorites of kind of the exploitation era and sexploitation era of filmmaking, and they did Bad Girls Go to Hell. And they've done a couple of other things too. They've done a couple of other movies. I love the idea. I was talking to somebody on Twitter briefly about the idea of having a comic company that just does comic adaptations of shitty, sleazy exploitation movies in kind of a shitty house style on really cheap paper. I absolutely love the idea, and I'm surprised there's not a million more of these out here, because there's just so many of those trashy ass movies out there that are all so goddamn entertaining. So this to me seems like, I wonder how these did. Yeah, there's nothing to write home about here whatsoever. It was fun. I haven't actually seen Scum of the Earth. I know about it. If you know Something Weird Video, Herschel Gordon Lewis and all of these kind of exploitation directors. Their bread and butter at Something Weird was putting out these movies. I don't know if I'm ever going to find the other issues. I kind of hope I do. There's some nice moments, like that almost has a Dave Stevens kind of look to it. Which one they're calling the pinup girl one, or Scum of the Earth? And then on the back, Reanimator from Adventure Comics is one that's been on my list for a while. I'm a huge fan of the Reanimator movies, especially the first one. Absolutely love it. Yeah, again, I think it's a brilliant idea. If you're going to do comics on shitty rock stars, why not do a boatload of comics on shitty movies too? One of the other things that I found today was Puma Blues #1, motherfucker, for $1.50. I was kind of blown away. I was honestly surprised that he didn't have more. This guy that I go to when I go for like the 80s, 90s stuff, it's called Cover to Cover, and it's always yields gold. Like, his bins are chock full of really great stuff. It's a fantastic comic shop. He's a really great guy as well. I was kind of surprised he didn't have more. I was hoping I would hit the boatload or the mother load on Puma Blues, but I sure as hell didn't expect to find issue 1. And again, not much to say about this. I feel like I've talked about it a few times in a couple of videos, but I'm still sold on getting this in floppy form, and giving that book the boot, because this is just really great. I mean, look at all that ink on the page. Really cool. And this one, it reads differently this way, or it looks different this way as well too, because the art Zuli's art absolutely progresses throughout the series. I mean, he still draws incredible wildlife, but some of this stuff, it just gets better as the series goes on. But for some reason, it works a lot better in this floppy format. Dave Dorman, okay, for Reanimator. So yeah, I'm curious. Again, I don't know how easy it is going to be. I don't know how easy it's going to be to find these in single issue, but they're high on the list every time I dive into a bin. Oh, here they are. Yeah, and then the only other two that I had, number 12 and number 13. So only have the 3 single issues right now. The other stuff that I have, I don't want to talk about it too much. I did talk about it in our chat this weekend. I did want to highlight just one thing here. Well, maybe a couple of things. Maybe I've lied to you. I do feel like chatting, if you guys are okay with that. This was a standout from that mini comic convention that I went to, from one of the pulls from the 50-cent bin. An absolute, just a really great story. Again, I'm a huge, hey, here's one for you, AFPC. I'm a huge mark for samurai books. So there you go. This one was so goddamn enjoyable. Gary Kato is the artist in this first story, The Sword, and he eventually was an assistant on the Ms. Tree series, and there was a lot of really great stuff, even if some of it is a bit wonky. I was talking to Rasa about it in our stream. Just, where is this arm coming from? Is that his arm? Why is it on that weird angle, etc., etc.? He's got long monkey type arms there. So but one of my favorite pages, and since Colin is here as well, this idea of buying pages is deep in my brain now. This is a page I would love to own. As I was reading the story, it's very kind of, with all of these stories, this was the moment for me with this comic, actually. They're obviously very focused and centered around revenge and the men in the books. As I was reading it, it gets down to the bottom panel, and it's talking about him. The years are long and the pain is deep. Without his wife and his son, his home is empty shell. And I was like, what the hell happened to his wife? And then I look up at the top of the page again, and I see her killing herself, which I completely missed the first time. So it really kind of, in that moment, just to me being kind of into the story to some degree, and just kind of not even noticing that, it just kind of added an extra layer to it for me. I would love, this page would be fantastic to have. I really dig that page a lot. So yeah, a great story, again, with the twist endings that I won't show you, and I won't spoil. Sorry, one sec. Just make sure that, yeah, okay, that is the second story. Just want to make sure that I don't accidentally. Sanho Kim, The Promise. Sanho Kim from the Yang series. Yeah, you were saying, AFPC, you passed up some Young Master issues at the warehouse this weekend. Assume you have all of them. I sure as hell do, man. It took me a while to find the final couple of issues, though. I think I had to order from my comic shop. So your warehouse, just remind me, is that the Koch warehouse? Is that where you go? Like with Tony, Why Not Art is in New York as well. This was great. I love the kind of mix of the Korean on the page along with the English. And where were those moments? The last page, right? I just love the way that looks. I love that. I guess you can call it lettering. And this as well here too. I really dig that. I was thinking of playing around with that a little bit myself to see if I could write something up using that kind of style. So yeah, that's a 50-cent bit of gold right there. You know what? I'm not going to keep talking about the comics that I've read. So let's have a look at some of the stuff that I grabbed today from the cheap bins. Innovation, Alex Nino's Nightmare. What was this going to be? A 4-part mini series. I guess I just assumed that the interior was going to be black and white. Unfortunately, it's not. I do love Nino's stuff. I had a quick flip through, and it does have some of his kind of telltale line work on it. But I think for a guy like him, especially, I don't want to say shitty coloring because that's not fair. The coloring, the way that it is, the coloring choices that have been made here, they sort of get rid of his. I think his work works best in black and white. Don't get me wrong, some of this stuff still looks pretty neat, but I think it really does obscure it too much because he has an unusual bit of line. Like there's some Kirby looking shit there even. He's got an unusual way, and I follow him on Instagram as well too. And every once in a while he'll post a video of him drawing, and just seeing his pens moving across the page is really great. It's almost like he does a lot of what looks like just one continuous line to kind of make up these figures. So yeah, again, like this doesn't look horrible. It doesn't look mind-blowing either. I really wish. Did you really? Yeah, Koch. Awesome. Yeah, man, I would love to visit the Koch warehouse. I would absolutely. You picked up this weekend. That's hilarious. Yeah, you and me both, Colin. I have dreamed about it, and I bet you it's better than both of our dreams combined. Yeah, it would be great to see it in black and white for sure. Yeah, like I said, it's unfair of me to say that the coloring was shit. I don't mean it quite like that. I just think that I would have preferred to see black and white. I'm gonna save that one because that one looks very interesting. Quite a while ago, I had found issue 1 of Cadavera, not even sure. And lo and behold, there you go, issue number 2. So Monster Comics was an offshoot of Fantagraphics, one of their mini imprints. There wasn't that many titles, so I'm trying to collect them all, and I've got most of them now. But surprised to see this one. Got some pretty serious water damage to it, but that's okay. It was cheap. Created by John Michael McCarthy. And does it say a year? Yeah, 1991 on this one. I seem to remember I didn't mind the first issue. This looks pretty good, though. Like, the art looks pretty great in this one. So we'll give this one a shot and see what we got with this. I got some, is this Caliber as well, too? No, this is, or is this that Millennium Publications. I was looking for, there's a Millennium Publications book called Asylum, actually, which there's an ad for the second issue here with Neil Gaiman and Mark Buckingham story in Asylum #2. I was looking for Asylum #1, and he had a couple of Millennium Comics Company books, and this one kind of jumped out at me. H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu, Roy Thomas, Kelly Jones, L'Officier, the guys that did the Mobius epic translations, David Mack, and Brian Bendis. Kelly Jones cover there. Again, I just kind of grabbed it and put it in a stack, and then got home and looked through it and was kind of like, oh shit, I didn't know it was going to look like this. So yeah, you do. Hey, I think I had a copy. I feel like there was a couple of books called Asylum now. Maybe I still actually have it, now that I'm sitting and registering the name a little more. I sometimes put stuff in this list on my phone, and I don't remember why it was there. I don't remember where I heard about it. But if it's in the list, I grab it, because obviously there was a damn good reason that it made it into that list anyway. So I trust my past self to not steer me wrong. This, however, like I said, wasn't on the list. It just kind of jumped out at me because of the cover and seeing the names on it. So I thought I'd give it a try. Yeah, the monster comics are really difficult to find. And yes, I can imagine it's a fire trap. There's a video of the Koch warehouse on, well, there's a bunch of them, but on YouTube, and I've watched them probably a number of times at this point, and it does look pretty intense. Tony's told me a little bit about it in the past. Caliber presents. I think I just want to pick this stuff up. It feels like I see it fairly often, and I'm just going to start grabbing them. I think I'm in the right headspace these days to dig into some of this stuff. This is like a double-sized issue here, number 16. All of this just black and white, all over the map style art. I'm just very curious to really tuck into this series and see if there's any gems within the pages. I know that there's a couple of issues specifically that I have on my phone that I'd like to get. I think issue 12 was one of them. I can't remember who appeared in it. And it's stuff like this that you have to sort of contend with. And we'll see. Yeah, but then this stuff looks pretty great too. So yeah, I think when I see these, I'm just going to start grabbing them. So issue 20 and then issue number 3. And I think I have one more issue in the bins. So barely made a dent. Bought these for the covers alone. The Last Generation. I don't know a single damn thing about them. But I mean, come on, you're going to see those covers and you're going to let those stay in a bin when they're cheap as all shit. No way, Jose. There's some, look at that back cover. Oh, you do hate AFPC, man. If you do a video in there, I would love to see it. Oh shit, look at this. Boom. We just hit the jackpot, people. This is like a Pokemon card unboxing. And we got the ultra rare. I got signatures here. So this is from, what is it, 1986? We want to guess 87, 1987. like I said, I don't know a single damn thing about this. I'm glad that I had a quick look at the interiors when I got home. And the interiors of the second one look better than the first one. So I'm curious what this is about. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. John, have you seen this before? Kid Anarchy. Hello, Zesty Clam. Yeah, so, hey, like, look at this dude. Look at this fucking guy here. Come on, you're not going to buy a comic with this guy in it? You're lying to yourself. You're buying it. You know you're buying it. Caves, bears with armor. Forget about it. So issue number 1 and issue number 2. Who the hell knows how many issues it went? But I've got the first 2. Ooh, hey, look at this. There we go. Let's hope that that gets captured for the screen grab for this video. There we go. Those 2 there. I've seen this one before. Another Air Cell book, and I don't know why I passed on it before. Signed by everyone involved in it and the janitor. Absolutely. I'm not sure what that says, but check this shit out. Let's take a moment here and just do a scan through this page. The Tale of Maya Ram, maybe. Issue number 1. It says PG-13. Ooh la la. Maybe there's some boobies in it. And then here's the back cover. This old broad makes a sword levitate. I mean, come on, man. Come on. This is insane. And the interior, John, is just as good. Like, look at this crazy ass art. This really sketchy. Yeah, it's great. Like I said, I've seen this cover before, and I've passed it. Yeah, yes. I knew you were gonna go there, Scott. I wish I had access to my banners. Oh, no, I don't. Never mind. So yeah, come on, people. This is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to this one. So this is 1988, written and illustrated by Sam Dixon. The Tale of Maya Ram is what it's called. There's our opening page. Like, look at these pages, man, side by side. You did not. Did you seriously buy this off the racks? Come on. Amazing. So that's one of the ones that's an absolute, that was a good score today. A couple of more here. This was from the other day. Did I show this one already? Bloodlines from Blackburn Comics. Again, it was a title that I had in my phone, but I had it as a different company. I think it was another Air Cell book. So I imagine with a lot of these 80s stuff, they jumped back and forth to a bunch of different companies. But because the title was the same, even though it was a different company, I grabbed it anyway. It doesn't look horrible. What do we got here? Yeah, 1987. Published monthly by Blackburn Video and Comics Limited, based out of Ottawa, Ontario. So a little Canadian connection there. I think I might have started reading this and then didn't keep going. Oh yeah, that's right, Judges. Maybe I did read this one. Maybe I did make it all the way through. Just didn't stick with me. So there we go, a little look at Bloodlines. Obviously didn't stick with me because now some of these pages don't look familiar whatsoever. So anyway, there we go. Starstone on the back. And I think finally, Antarctic Press Publications, The Crimson Nun. This is the cover that got me on this one. This is issue 4 of 4. Really just taken by this cover. I think it's amazing looking. The interior, unfortunately, does absolutely nothing for me. I don't know. It's funny, like this style of art in black and white, I would have a lot more time for, but you throw some color on it and it just, I don't know, it gives it this quality that just doesn't work for me anymore, you know. So yeah, maybe I'll give it a read anyway, since I've got it. There we go. I think have a quick look around here, but I think that's it, people. Yeah, that is it. Will I get this out of there? I did this. Yeah, this is the other one that I talked about on the Sunday show, Dear Mother and Other Stories, from Strangest Publishing, by Banu Pratap. I really, really love this book. I love the art in this book a lot. I want to see more and more from this artist. Give me everything. I do need to read the story again, though. Because I couldn't quite follow what was going on at times. But I sort of, I gave up on that pretty quickly because the art is just so amazing looking. So it didn't throw me off the trail anyway. Let's see if I can catch up to the comments here. Holy smokes. Sorry, fellas. I'm missing a lot because I was sitting down. Did you make your sword levitate? 1988, 20 years too late. Yes, Bloodlines, so bizarre. Okay, you know that one as well. Just completed my Bloodlines run, Rob Walton. That's insane, fellas. That's incredible. Of Ragmop fame. Bizarre Violence should be 6 issues, correct? Yep, I have 1 issue of Ragmop. Read Ragmop if you haven't. Great stuff. I know the title. I'm wondering if I have an issue of it. Good blog detailing Bloodlines history. I was reading it the other day. Amazing. Shoot me if you remember there, John, shoot me a message on Instagram. Okay, fellas. Thanks very much, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll leave on that glorious shot there. And the animals. There we go. Thanks very much, everybody. Nice to see you all. Thanks for hanging out. And we will see you next week. So it's just going to be Rasa and Damien this Sunday on the chat. And I think it's happening on Damien's channel. Yeah, right on. Talk to you later.